Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Rideau Hall. Bonjour à vous tous et bienvenue à Rideau Hall. My name is Alison Hamer, and I work with the Office of the Secretary to the Governor General. It is my honor to serve as your Master of Ceremonies today. Mon nom est Alison Hamer, et je travaille avec le bureau du secrétaire du gouverneur général. Je serai votre maître de cérémonie aujourd'hui. Before we begin, I would like to inform you that our official photographer will be taking photos, which will be shared with you in the coming days. Therefore, I would ask that you please refrain from taking photos during the event. As a reminder, please also ensure that your cell phones are on silent mode. Avant de débuter, j'aimerais vous informer que notre photographe officiel prendra des photos qui vous seront partagées dans les jours à venir. Je vous demanderai donc de ne pas prendre de photos pendant l'événement. J'aimerais également vous rappeler d'éteindre la sonnerie de vos téléphones cellulaires. Finally, we recognize that the content shared today may be difficult emotionally. Mental health support workers are present on site and available here in the ballroom in blue vests should you wish to speak with someone. Please feel comfortable to step out of the room at any point and to access this support if needed. Enfin, nous reconnaissons que le contenu partagé aujourd'hui peut susciter des émotions difficiles. Des intervenants en soutien en santé mentale sont disponibles dans la salle portant les vestes bleues si vous souhaitez échanger avec quelqu'un. N'hésitez pas à quitter la salle à n'importe quel moment et accéder à cette aide si vous en ressentez le besoin. And now, dear guests, chers invités, would you please rise for the arrival of Their Excellencies, the Right Honourable Mary Simon, Governor-General of Canada, and Mr. Whit Fraser. Veuillez vous lever pour l'arrivée de leurs Excellences, la très honorable Mary Simon, Gouverneur général du Canada, et Monsieur Whit Fraser. Please be seated. Veuillez vous asseoir. Pour commencer, j'aimerais vous remercier d'être ici à l'approche de la Journée nationale de la vérité et de la réconciliation. I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered on unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people who have lived on and cared for this land for thousands of years. With this gathering, we hope to provide an environment where we can collectively reflect on what reconciliation means in light of the 10th anniversary of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada's final report, and look with hope towards the future. Nous sommes reconnaissants de votre présence et de votre ouverture. J'invite maintenant l'aînée algonquine Claudette Commanda à prononcer des mots de bienvenue. Elder Commanda.
Kwei kakina. Bonjour tout le monde. Good afternoon to everyone. Your Excellencies, elders, survivors, youth, community members, everyone who is here. It is an honor to stand before you and to welcome you into this beautiful homeland. Kani Mitch Kijigun Kinun Edishnakas, Kitagan Zibi, Donjbon. Mon nom sur Claudette Commanda, je suis une femme Anishinaabe au Mama Weneniwag, Kitagan Zibi. Pijaji Koma Anishinaabe Aki au Mama Weneniwag. Bienvenue ici, à la territoire de nos ancêtres, la nation Anishinaabe au Mama Weneni. We welcome each and every one of you to this beautiful homeland of the Anishinaabe, O Mama Weneniwag. We gather here today with our hearts filled with love, our spirit to rejoice with hope. We come together to honor, to recognize the beauty of life, and to thank our Creator for bringing us together. We walk together this day in a peaceful way for the children who are here today and the children that will come. Miigwech. Thank you.
Merci, Aîné Commander. J'invite maintenant la gouverneure générale à prendre la parole. Excellency.
Good morning, good afternoon, Ulusakut, Unusakut, bonjour. Thank you for being here. The residential school survivors, Indigenous leaders, and our elders, chers invités. Nous sommes sur le territoire non cédé de la nation Algonquin Anishinaabe. Tamana nuna tohanga at nuna hakasi mayuit Algonquin Anishinaabe mintayo watut tamani atoktisi nuna minik. As we acknowledge this place, we also honor the memory of children taken from these communities to residential schools, like so many others across the country. I am so moved by the stories of those who never came home. I am equally moved by the resilience of those who survived and continue to carry forward their traditions despite the pain and injustices of the past. 10 years ago, hundreds of children and youth, along with residential school survivors, gathered here on the grounds of Rideau Hall to plant paper hearts. This gesture was part of the closing ceremony of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. It was a public demonstration of their commitment to reconciliation and to the TRC's call to action. Through the Commission, the survivors shared with Canadians the painful and horrific experiences they endured at the hands of residential school personnel. It took a lot of courage. It took profound inner light and strength. Aux survivants parmi nous, vos histoires sont des immenses cadeaux. To the survivors that are with us today, your stories are an immense gift to all of us. They are an extended hand, an invitation to repair bridges between all communities in Canada. 10 years after the Commission released its final report, we are not yet where we need to be. But the voices of survivors have opened hearts and minds to follow the path of reconciliation. Partout au Canada, je sens plus de compassion. Les gens veulent connaître notre véritable histoire nationale. Takani nunak tuatini Canada me, ipiu susungulak tunganang ni sautsutillo ammalu, unikau sarayao hatasima yunik anita utibinong migut, ilitaksimanak saulaktut manna haujima suurilaktaka. In recent years, First Nations, Métis and Inuit peoples and customs have been increasingly present in commemorations and international events. And what I mean by that is not just during the annual event that we have on September 30th. There's increasingly more presence of Indigenous peoples' customs and traditions across the country. Symbols like the orange shirt have become widely recognized and as an example. History courses are challenging long-standing narratives and embracing broader perspectives, including those of Indigenous communities long overlooked. As we all know, many Canadians didn't know what was happening in our country. I've been told by many Canadians that they lived not very far from residential schools and never knew about them, and only started to realize when the former students started talking publicly about the traumas they had experienced. I also think that Indigenous cultures and languages and arts are taking up more space in the Canadian public. In August, I attended an international Indigenous language conference, and it was clear to me that this issue of languages is going to be revived. It's becoming an issue that is very important for those of us that are fortunate to be able to speak it, have spoken about it, and now the rest of the country, I think, is starting to understand that your language is who you are. Your culture is who you are. And I can see also now that more Indigenous children can now proudly learn and speak their ancestral languages in school. Unlike what we went through, we couldn't speak our language in school. I didn't go to residential school, but I was in a federal day school up to grade 6, and we never spoke. We weren't allowed to speak our language, Inuktitut, on school property, on school grounds, or inside the school class. Otherwise, we would be punished. That is no longer, thank God, that is no longer the case. And I think that's been a huge change in the way our languages are seen and spoken about. Ce sont de grandes avancées. And these steps forward were sparked by stories of the survivors. Today we are honored to hear from First Nations, Inuit, and Métis artists who have designed 3 exceptional sculptures that will be installed in a permanent heart garden on these grounds. Visitors from across the country and around the world will have the opportunity to admire these sculptures and learn from them. They will also continue planting paper hearts, committing to reconciliation in a tradition that has spread from coast to coast to coast over the past 10 years. This gathering is meant to create space for listening, understanding, and healing. We need more spaces like this across the country. We need spaces where survivors and their families can reconnect with their traditional healing practices and find peace. I want to thank each and every one of you for being part of this moment. I'm hoping that it is a moment that many other moments will follow. To the survivors especially, your presence here today is both graceful and impactful. And we remember all survivors that have passed on as well. 10 years, including the esteemed chair of the TRC, who passed away quite recently, as you all know. Merci de partager votre sagesse avec nous. Please continue extending your hands to Canadians from all walks of life. It will help us walk the path of reconciliation together, with hope in our hearts and for the generations to come. Please be safe. Nakurmik, merci. Thank you.
Merci, Excellence. Inuk Elder Ripa Evik Carlton will now offer reflections. Elder Evik Carlton.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me here today on this very important day. I'd like to begin by saying that I was born in a small camp back when I was born, and I was raised by traditional parents, my mom and dad. And I was reared in the Inuit rearing practices as a child. And I didn't go to residential school then, but I had a brother, our eldest, who was picked up in this small camp, as well as other children who were also picked up. And what a sad day that must have been for my mom and dad and for the other parents, all the relatives that lived together in this wonderful nurturing camp. So my early memories are safety as a child, love, and just warmth and secure. I felt very secure. So that all changed when we were relocated to the community of Pengnurtung. I then had to attend a federal day school for 10 years in my community, but I did go home at the end of the day. So I really feel for those that were sent away who didn't have families to go home to. So I'm very honored to stand in front of everybody. And I like to, I'm going to say a prayer in Inuktitut as a blessing over everybody. But before I do that, I would like to say thank you to everybody who pushed the way for us, who never gave up for us and for my children and grandchildren. I'm very grateful. The work has been paved. And I like to say we need to keep going. We need to keep pushing and going. It's not an easy work, but it's well worth the work when you have started healing from these traumas and intergenerational impacts that affect all of us as Indigenous people. I'm grateful for my ancestors who led the way for us, who were there for us, who never gave up with absolutely nothing. The land, the people, the animals is what they had. They had one another to lean upon each other and to help each other. This is what we need to do as Indigenous people. We need to rise up and take our rightful place, because there's a lot at stake. Our children, our precious children, our precious gifts from our Creator. Our grandchildren, those are born and those that will be born. So there's work for us to do. And we need to make a commitment to keep going, to keep this going. And I see there's been a lot of work done, but there's still lots to be done. And we will never have this happen to our children again, our precious children. We will not. So I'm going to say a prayer, and I'm really grateful for having this event today. And I totally agree with our Governor General. There needs to be more of these events. And we need to also really look at our northern communities, because they're far removed from the rest of society, and there's few resources. We need to make investments in making places for healing for our people, because alarmingly, we're losing a lot of our people. And that has to stop. So let me say a blessing over everybody, over over the survivors, over the families, over our precious children, over the elders, and over this day and tomorrow, because these are very significant days. Kuyan nami sanaya karata. Kuyan nami sanaya simagata. Kuyan nami piyun naktita katarata ayong naktu aluko simagaloati luta. Anigoro napamata tamako kuyan nami. Tako sivulik tivut tusiuti kanarivaka piyun naktita kulugit. Piyun naktita kulugit isumagunati naktita kulugit piyasani tamakuninga. Piyasakawata ajigingituning. Tamakualu piliriyu ikayo katatu ino katiminig piyun nati kanikin. Tusakatatu asoron naktuning. Tusakatatu piganaktuning piyun nati kanikin. Tamakuakinut yutigi yakka. Sorosikulopo ino sutokotivo inne, kikutu inne, tamani, Canada me ovagununa kakase mayugun, ikayukanatigun, makikanakuluta, atuta kakanakuluta, amaluta makua piyasauyun, sapiliti telitigu tamakuninga, piyasakautugu uvagun, kuyalilaripunga, mana, tusernera, tusartaukulugu, kinovunga. Thank you.
Merci Annie et Carlton. Comme son Excellence l'a mentionné, le 3 juin 2015, la cérémonie de clôture de la Commission de vérité et réconciliation du Canada s'est tenue à Rideau Hall, dans cette même salle. Dans le cadre de cette cérémonie, les dignitaires de la Commission, les survivants présents et des centaines de jeunes ont planté des cœurs en papier sur le terrain en mémoire des enfants des Premières Nations, des Inuits et des Métis qui sont morts aux mains du régime canadien des pensionnats, ainsi que ceux qui y ont survécu. Depuis lors, le mouvement des jardins de cœur s'est répandu dans tout le pays. Les écoles, les organisations et les individus plantant des jardins pour montrer leur engagement en faveur de la réconciliation et des appels à l'action de la Commission de vérité et réconciliation. 10 years later, we are honored that the Heart Garden has returned to Rideau Hall. Indigenous plants native to Algonquin territory and which support local wildlife have been planted in a dedicated space near the Visitor Center. And from June 21st to September 30th each year, visitors now have the opportunity to make and plant their own paper hearts while learning about and reflecting upon their role in furthering reconciliation. Additionally, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis artists were commissioned to create heart sculptures to be added to the garden, reflecting each artist's community, their understanding of reconciliation, the children who died because of the residential schools and those who survived, and hope for the future. Nous remercions la Société de soutien à l'enfance et à la famille des Premières Nations, la Commission de la Capitale nationale et la Fondation Rideau Hall pour leur précieuse collaboration à ce projet. In a moment, I will call upon the Governor General and Elder Commanda to unveil the 3 sculptures. 2 of the sculptures you will see in their completed form, and 1 you will see still on its journey to completion. We will then have the honor of hearing from the artists directly about their artistic inspiration, vision, and process. Without further ado, Excellency, Elder Commanda, would you come forward to unveil the sculptures? Merci, Excellence, et Ine Commander. I would now like to invite Mari Brakupe, representing the Brakupe family, members of the Kitigan Zibi Anishinabeg First Nation, forward to speak about their artwork. Mari?
Kwe Kwe. My name is Mari Brakupe, and I would like to share a few words about this collaborative, intergenerational sculpture created by myself, my family, Simon, Emily, and Claire Brakupe. We are honored to be included in the Heart Garden at Rideau Hall, here on Algonquin territory. It is meaningful for us to bring this work forward on our home territory and to have it stand alongside the works of Inuit and Métis artists. Our hope is that this artwork allows visitors to reflect on the history of residential schools in Canada, but also see the strength and resilience of Indigenous peoples. When you look at the edge of the piece, you'll notice the scallop design found on birch bark baskets and canoes made by Algonquin peoples. This design represents both the waterways and rolling hills that surround us here on Algonquin territory. On the edge, you can also see canoes guided by fish. These canoes symbolize the journey home and our connection to the water. In the center is a mother bear with her cub. As members of the bear clan, they are symbols of family and protection. Alongside them are strawberries or heartberries, the first fruits to appear after winter, bringing renewal, hope, and good things to come. Miigwech.
Miigwech, Mari. I would now like to invite Maggie Napratuk, multidisciplinary artist from Nunavik, forward to speak about her design and personal journey as she works toward the completion of her sculpture. Maggie?
Wow. Hi. Hey. Sivulipa minu tito halanga mga te mahalo nak tito halanga tsunga. Hi, Ulukut. Good afternoon. I'll be speaking in my mother tongue language first, which is Inuktitut, and then I'll translate into English after I speak Inuktitut. Ay, Ulukut, sivulipa me upiro supunga na kumiso ngalo tiliya o tivinani sanawang nimut tat suminganulong wamik. Ay rilimi pakne hatiri hatatavinik kanit ulumimo tikitsuro na kumipunga. Dana Hulisarak Atilik African Wonderstone, African Knob, Nunahutingani Pisimarok, Inuit Hulisara Hutingita Sanyani Sitinaksosoni. Dana Sanawak Suropivaliani Vininga, Dana Takilimame Piatsarilar Tsuru, Sunak Otirit Suit, Atusu Valawut, Ilangani Ikumote Moktunut. Sanawak sugo, biar semangito galuak, ini tuin nasuta, alangwak kasut sar yang itu, hulisar leril doata. Biar sangit, amisonit saulah hiloktut, alangwak tavaniranit malilunga, hulisar leo reorotega, suli karus langat sugo uluni kayuni. Sanawak nirani ikaw manahataloktok. Sivulimma ilakani ilisahtaulokto vinernit. Unikaraw larilawrama atuti hatalokto vininginit uluit ilanginni. Tukisinirama kanitukur ni mangata. Akawani makoniloni ani katahatalokwa mamisakataw kataya halahitsonga. Ulumiro sanawak nirani angek nimik hanuingisak nimot atutini halok miyok. Sivumo hataw kuminaktok akisong nimot kinguwa hutia pivot sivumo hatirit sialorit o ipirit sialorit lo. Dan nahulisara atilik Tummitavut. Aularivuut tekkuninga kavamakkunut sappummiyarnit ilisariartitauhattasimaruvinernet. Tekkuningallu annalarittuvinernet. Sivulivinivut ammalu inuhutirilaqtavut nuutitauruvinit ammalu tiguruutsutik aullaatitautsutik kavamakkut sappummiyarnit ilisaqvinut ilisaqvili hutiliavininginnut kanatuup iluani. Ilaminittiluit pimmariunillaringani piursapallianingitta anaqamini. Kinaunivut ullumi taimangalu pirursimainnalangavuk. Anne. Kinaunivut ullumi taimangalu pirursimainnalangavuk. Suuneriyatta tungavirilugu. Ilaanangitungayo haavasriisuillikattasuungummat. Pitutsimanikut suuqlu piqaisimaruqtitut auttigut iliqustigut ammalu piusituhaqtigut. Taakkua piusituhaqtigut tukingani uhaasivunga allanguarsimarutaanna sanawarirmeituq. Taakkua piusituhaqtigut kamiapik anginingik kakkalaarmut naammatuuq. Tallimaapinit ukiuliup atasuungittitut. Ilaanangitu. Saumanittuup kamiapik nalunersivuk nunahqaasimaruit ammalu meitiimiunit. Taannalu talerpianittu nalunersivuk ukiortatumiunit inutuinnanit. Pitutsimautiuuq piqaisimarumut atsunaarmut nuitatitsiutigilugu pitutsimautinittinit ammalu piussituhavut attiripasuuninganit. Sinaanga ilasimatmiyuq pirursianguanit takutsauniarmata taqsituisuungatta annuqaattinit. Unnahallunaartittukarussimiira in English. Hello and good day. First of all, I am honored and filled with gratitude for having been selected to carve this heart-shaped stone. Thank you to those who've planned and prepared for this day since April. This stone is called an African wonder stone, coming from Africa. It is a more solid or harder stone than what Inuit have as soapstone. When I was carving this stone, there were some days of having in mind of my relatives who also attended residential schools. Having had first-hand discussion and true story would be touching because I understood the depth of what they had went through. It took about 2 years to also be in pain, having to lead into healing, since when I learned the hard truth. Today, carving this meaningful project was filled with more acceptance towards well-being for our future generations in moving forward with care. So the title of this stone is Our Footprints. In memory of those who were in residential schools and those who survived. Our ancestors and elders were taken from their families and sent to residential schools across the country at a critical time in their lives when they should have been growing and learning at home. Who we are is and will always be rooted in the strength of our foundations, connected and intertwined through bloodlines, traditions, and cultures. These traditional boots are child-sized, small enough to feel small enough to fit a 5-year-old. The left boot represents the First Nations and Métis peoples, while the right boot, excuse me, while the right boot symbolizes the Inuit of the Arctic. A braided string connects the two, signifying the bond we share and the similarities in our traditional ways. The floor border along the side of the sculpture reflects our shared heritage of embroidery on clothing. Nakome, thank you.
Nakovnik Maggie. J'invite maintenant Candace Lipischak du Manitoba Métis Federation et de l'Union nationale Métis Saint-Joseph du Manitoba à partager ses réflexions sur son œuvre artistique. Candace.
Bonjour, Son Excellence, dignitaires et invités. Candace Lipischak, Indigenous Cause, de numéro 1, Manitoba, Nunjuba. Je m'appelle Candace Lipischak et je suis originaire du traité numéro 1 au Manitoba. C'est un grand honneur de représenter mon peuple de la nation métisse. Chaque année, le 30 septembre, marque la Journée nationale de la vérité et de la réconciliation. Étant artiste, j'ai non seulement les moyens, mais aussi le devoir de mettre en évidence l'importance de la réconciliation. Le confluent de la rivière Rouge et de la rivière Assiniboine fut intégral à notre patrie pendant la traite des fourrures. Ces cours d'eau représentent la profonde tristesse de la perte de nos enfants précieux, ressentie à travers nos communautés autochtones. Comme le chandail orange symbolise la perte de culture, de liberté et d'estime de soi des survivants des pensionnats, le cœur orange incarne que nous tenons à cœur ceux et celles qui souffrent des effets multigénérationnels. Le symbole de l'infini nous rappelle que ceux et celles affectés et leurs familles méritent notre empathie, notre compréhension des effets nocifs des écoles résidentielles et notre appui infini, non seulement au quotidien, mais à travers ces prochains siècles. Merci. Gichimwegwech. Thank you.
Merci, Candace. Please join me in showing gratitude to all of the artists for sharing with us their exceptional contributions to the Heart Garden and their stories. J'invite maintenant l'aînée métisse Vida Westlake à prononcer des mots de clôture. Elder Westlake.
Tansi, thank you, Your Excellencies, for this event and for the Healing Garden. The trauma we carry is individual and deeply personal. It is also historical, intergenerational, and collective. And so our healing cannot be complete without purposive events like this, where we can come together with deep respect, kindness, compassion, and gratitude. It's very good when we come together as we have today. I would like us to acknowledge and lift up our survivors and teachers, and thank them for their courage, honesty, and strength, and for their sharing. We acknowledge with gratitude all of those who have sought to protect us and take care of us, who have taught us how intimately we are connected to each other and to all our relations in the natural world, and how beautiful a thing this is. We are grateful for the truth in our teachings and for the strength and healing of ceremony. We thank the Creator for the sun, the earth, the water, the air, and all our relations in the natural world. We ask the Creator to be with those who are suffering this day. The people in physical, spiritual, or emotional pain. People living with anxiety and fear for the well-being of those they care for. We ask the Creator to walk with us in the days ahead as we work together to build a strong and healthy future for us all and for future generations. Please keep us safe, secure, and in good health. Chimagwich, Marcy.
Merci, Aîné Westlake. Ceci conclut la partie officielle de l'événement. Dans quelques instants, nous nous rendrons dans les salles adjacentes pour partager un rafraîchissement et nous réunir dans un esprit de réflexion, de deuil et de guérison. As we gather in the adjoining rooms in the spirit of reflection and healing, we encourage you all to share stories, make a paper heart for inclusion in the Heart Garden, and to spend time with the heart sculptures, which will remain on display here in the ballroom. We look forward to learning from each other, to forging connections today, and to moving forward together with hope for a better future. Veuillez maintenant vous lever pour le départ de leurs excellences, des aînés, des artistes et de leurs familles. Please rise for the departure of their excellencies, Elders Commanda, Yvette Carlton and Westlake, and the artists and their families. Thank you again for being with us on this important day. Merci encore d'avoir été des nôtres.